Ian Begley, resident New York Knicks NBA insider, just dropped a bombshell on a post-game show. We're going to break down exactly what he said, but to give you a clue here, it's about Luka being frustrated in Dallas. And let's not forget, the New York Knicks own all of their first-round picks moving forward and have a lot of protected first-round picks from other teams. Potentially, could Luka be a star target the Knicks have this offseason? We're going to break down this and so much more today. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button now. And make sure you have notifications turned on so you don't miss a second of the new content. And now, let's get started. NBA insider Ian Begley suggests that Luka is unhappy with the Dallas Mavericks. You could actually see this coming if you go back all the way to last season. If you remember, it looked like the Dallas Mavericks were actively trying to miss the playoffs, because if they did that, they wouldn't have to give the New York Knicks that draft pick. And that's exactly what happened. And if you remember that season, Luka seemed very unhappy during that presser when he was asked about the Mavs, his future with the Mavs, how he felt about that season, and he gave other comments as well too. Now you pair that with the following information that we're about to hear from my guy Ian Begley, who was recently on the Knick At Night show with my guys Deej and Eddie on the app X. Let's play the following clip so you understand exactly what he said about Luka and why it matters for the New York Knicks moving forward. Let's roll the clip.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, Luka, if it is sideways over there at the end of this year, I mean, everybody knows he's frustrated and he wants to win, and they've had a few chances to put a roster around to compete.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so I could see a scenario where it kind of blows up in a bad way in Dallas, because everybody kind of just whispers about that and has been for the last couple of years. Not saying that anything is definitive or he's mad now, but I could just see, like, if they don't make a deep run and do something substantial. Let me say this: like, people in Dallas, like, even not even team people, but people at the media, they'll tell you the same thing. Like, he's been unhappy in the past. Obviously not to the point where anything would happen, but I take that and I extrapolate. Like, if they struggle again and he's unhappy again, like, what does that mean? So yeah, that's just kind of how I see that one.
Bombshell, ladies and gentlemen. Did you hear what he stated? It could blow up in a bad way for the Dallas Mavericks, especially if they don't do exactly what they need to do this season in regards for Luka and what he believes is success. And you just heard right there, it was a couple of seasons that everybody's been hearing, NBA insiders, league sources, that Luka has been frustrated and unhappy with the Mavericks. Like Begley stated, there's been whispers around the league. But again, he stated, if you ask anybody covering the Mavericks who understand Luka in that situation, they'll tell you he is frustrated. So what does that mean for the New York Knicks? Well, let's see here. The New York Knicks have all of their first-round picks moving forward. That's check number one. They have the assets available to make an all-star or superstar trade. That's number two. They have Jalen Brunson, somebody that Luka has spoken openly about, stating that he misses him, he wishes he was still playing with him, and so many of these other things, hinting at the fact that he would welcome the opportunity of playing with Jalen Brunson again. And before you kill me in the comments saying, well, Luka is not a great fit for any team because he's a really bad ball handler and he holds the ball too long, he's a ball hog, whatever the case may be, let me say this. Jalen Brunson and Luka Doncic work. We saw it work in Dallas. I think it could work in New York. And if you need the proof, they went to the Western Conference Finals. If they did it in the West, I absolutely believe they could do it in the East. And Jalen Brunson would have no problem playing off ball. And who knows, maybe at this point of his career with Luka and Brunson, who knows how they play together? Maybe they switch on and off because of how good Jalen has become and how good Luka is. So we don't know the exact dynamic that would happen with Jalen and Luka if they played together today. But in my opinion, it would absolutely work. I think it worked with the Dallas Mavericks, and I think it could work with the New York Knicks. But before we get there, let me say this. If you have a fan in the Mavs already with Luka, And he's happy with Jalen Brunson, happy with his success, and seeing everything he's doing in New York and wanting potentially to be part of that. Jalen Brunson has to be the premier player that would sell Luka to want to come to the New York Knicks at this point in time. Because you heard it on the JJ Redick podcast. If you didn't, go check that out. He absolutely understands how good Jalen is, and he always knew how good Jalen Brunson was going to be ever since he took over in that playoff series when he was out against Utah. He understands greatness. He sees it. I know a lot of people think that if Luka came here or a great superstar came here, he would take away from what Jalen Brunson is doing. Let me say this. The real superstars don't take away from other players. They help contribute. They help excel. They help elevate it. They make you a better player, especially when you're on that court. And I think Luka and Jalen would absolutely do that for each other. They would complement each other well. And I think they very much do a great 1-2 inside-out punch, especially with the way Luka's shooting the three ball now. I think it would work even better. While there are multiple obstacles for Luka going to the New York Knicks and being traded here, I would say the main obstacle has to be Mark Cuban. Bad taste in his mouth right now, given everything he's seeing Jalen Brunson do. Jalen Brunson is in the conversation for MVP. Jalen Brunson has led this Knicks team to greatness. Jalen Brunson is an all-star, knocking on the door of superstardom. One of the smallest but biggest players in the league. What I mean by that is he's small, but he'll go into the paint and he'll still play bully ball with you. He'll still try to post you up. That's the type of player Jalen Brunson is. And that type of play has made him a fan favorite for the New York Knicks and has gotten him beloved by New York City. And it's not by accident. Hard work, determination, and leadership like him, it's no wonder New York bought into him, because you can't help to buy into somebody like that. He was exactly the point guard and the leader that we needed, and we got him. And not only do we have him, he is excelling and going into his prime at the exact perfect right moment, helping this Knicks team go to heights we never thought we could see. That is credit to Jalen Brunson. Who doesn't want to play with that? You think Luka doesn't want to play with that? You think other all-stars around the league, other superstars around the league don't want to play with that? Don't see what the New York Knicks are doing right now? Because in my opinion, I think it would. Now, if you're asking me what it would take to get a Luka, it would probably almost automatically have to take Julius Randle being part of that trade to get Luka on this team. Now, you guys can go back and forth in the comments on whether or not you would go ahead and trade Julius Randle for Luka straight up, or you have to include players or picks or whatever the trade may be. I'm just letting you know, if that trade were to happen, Julius Randle, given the type of player that he is, given the status that he has, and given the contract that he has, I would assume he would have to be part of that deal. Either way, I don't want people to just go ahead and kill the Luka to the Knicks dream, because let's face it here, if a lot of people around the league are talking about it, if there are whispers around the league that he's frustrated, and he's on the West Coast, mind you, I get the relationship with Mark Cuban, but listen, we just did business with Toronto. Sometimes business is just that, business. And if a deal seems very good, Mark Cuban, you think he's going to say no to it? He might say yes. And if he's moving Luka to the East Coast, he might not have a problem with that. And if the New York Knicks were able to swing a trade like that, it would be game-changing, blockbuster, absolutely franchise shifting. That's what a Luka trade does for the New York Knicks. It could happen, but it takes a lot of factors for that to occur. At this point in time, if you're asking me, is it a possibility? Given what Begley stated here, and the fact that Luka is frustrated, and the New York Knicks have reportedly been looking for a disgruntled, frustrated star so they can target them in the offseason, if you're looking at all of that, then yes, absolutely. I'm reading all of that, and I think the New York Knicks would target Luka. Would they get him? That's anybody's guess. But they would target him if all of those things occurred. That's the only way, in my opinion, at this point in time where we are right now, that a Luka to the New York Knicks trade would make sense. However, hearing from Ian Begley, our resident NBA insider, stating that the situation in Dallas could be concerning. Luka apparently has been frustrated before. There are whispers he could potentially be frustrated again. If that happens and it boils over, who knows what could happen? Maybe he does have a trade request list, and on that list, maybe the Knicks make it somehow. And maybe the Knicks pursue Doncic heavily because they want him on the roster. Anything is possible. Anything can happen. The Knicks got OG Anunoby from the Toronto Raptors, from Masai Ujiri, a team that they are actively suing. If that can happen, then anything can happen. Everything is on the table, especially if a team like the Knicks has all the assets required to make the deal so sweet that any GM or president would feel just foolish to say no to it. With this Begley report, all the information that we have and what we can use our own eyes to see, I'm just going to say this. Watch the situation in Dallas. Keep your eyes on Dallas. Leon Rose, Worldwide West, Gerson Rosas. You've been doing a great job so far. Definitely continue the good work, but keep your eyes on Dallas because that situation seems like it's going to be a very tricky and sticky one. And if it doesn't work out well, Leon, make the move, make the call, and throw what you can at the wall to try to get Luka. Because let's not get it twisted. Luka Doncic to the New York Knicks. Him playing on this roster with Jalen. Them teaming up again. Given the status that Jalen Brunson has just achieved. Where he is right now in his career. Where Doncic is in his career. Where they both are. And them coming together again, it would probably be some of the most lethal basketball we have ever seen. And the Eastern Conference better watch out if that ever happens because it's nightmare times and you do not want to be outside when those two are cooking because they're going to be cooking up a show. But what about you guys? What do you think about this bombshell report that Begley stated on this post-game show where he stated that Luka potentially could be frustrated with the Dallas Mavericks? Do you think that lets the New York Knicks have a potential in to try to get Luka on the Knicks roster? Let me know in the comments below, guys, because honestly, I would love to hear from you. But that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, go ahead and smash that like button, leave a comment below, and of course, guys, please subscribe to the channel. Until next time, Knick fans. Peace.